Welcome back to the channel today, guys. Now, I wanted to sit and talk to you guys about Heavenly Delusion today. Now, if you guys watched my What Will I Be Watching video, when I came across Heavenly Delusion, was very intrigued. You can even see it in the video, how I thought, after reading the synopsis, that it would be such an interesting premise. And after watching the episode today, I gotta say, I still feel that way. It's quite an interesting series. The show immediately gave me like Darling in the Franxx kind of vibes, if that makes sense. Because of the facility they have in it, the world they're setting up, the post-apocalyptic world, it gave me heavy Darling in the Franxx vibes, kind of. Besides the mechas, of course. But who knows? That could be a thing too. But that's enough of that. Let's kind of break it down a little bit and talk about this series, because it really is quite interesting. Because our episode begins as we meet our characters Maru and Kiriko. And they're walking around just exploring this world. We know nothing. We know nothing about this world besides that it underwent something called the collapse years ago that totally destroyed the world and wiped out most of civilization. And we see these two characters are just struggling to survive, you know? And we see that Kiriko has been tasked with protecting Maru, actually. And we see that these two have quite a friendly relationship with each other. Our boy Maru pretty clearly has a crush on Kiriko, and she clearly doesn't realize it. Their interactions in the episode were quite... And as we go around exploring this world with Maru and Kiriko, we start to get a better grasp of just how the world is now. How everyone is out to survive for themselves. How everyone is not opposed to attacking and stealing things from other people to survive. It's a lawless world out here. And as we go throughout our travels with them, we see that they have two objectives in mind. The first one is a personal matter for Kiriko. She's looking for two men in particular. One of the men is called Robin Inazaki. Now, we don't know why she's looking for them, and we don't know for what reason, but she pretty clearly wants to find these two men again. So that's an objective for her. And the other one is they're both looking for a place called Heaven. Now, in a post-apocalyptic world, having a place called Heaven is very ironic. But here's the kicker and the dichotomy that's kind of interested me about this show. There is a facility here that looks like it has been untouched by the real world out there. It seems like a very enclosed space that is apparently raising children, aka why it feels like Darling in the Franxx kind of vibes. And we see that in this facility, these kids are just doing random things, like regular day things, like they're going to school, they're having fun hanging out with each other, they're doing all this kind of stuff. They probably don't even know the world's ended, and I find that kind of interesting. They are the definition of sheltered children. They know nothing of the world. They don't even know that the outside world exists. And it's here we meet a character named Tokyo. Her name is literally Tokyo, by the way, which I kind of laughed at when I heard, but I liked it. And we meet another girl named Mimihime. Now, one day when they were doing a test, Tokyo gets a specific question asked on her test that is really, really weird. It asks her, do you want to go outside of the outside? And naturally, since he's in this facility, she has no understanding of what that means. Now, before I go further into this, I feel like I should mention that it seems as though the students in this facility have some sort of abilities. They're not like regular people, because we see in this episode that one kid tosses a soccer ball with his hand so far that he's able to jump down from like a 3-story building, run after the ball, and catch it before it hits the ground. So they're clearly not normal. So it's here when Tokyo talks to Mimihime about what happened on the test and the incident. Mimihime tells her, you know, I've always had a feeling that something was outside of these walls. And if they do have abilities, I would guess that hers is like an intuition, because we see throughout this episode that everything that she predicts ends up being true. As Mimihime even tells her that, you know, every time I think about the outside world, I get this image of two people from the outside world coming to help me, as she tells Tokyo, and one of them looks exactly like you. Now, if you guys paid attention through the episode, Tokyo looks a lot like Maru. Put those two together, next to each other, by the way. They are very similar, so I have a feeling she's talking about them, Maru and Kiriko. And it's just really interesting, because I want to see how these two stories connect with each other, you know? And as an extra added bonus, in the outside world, we see that there are these things called man-eaters that come out at night and, as the name suggests, eat people. And I find it very strange, you know? There's got to be some correlation between the man-eaters and this facility. And I feel pretty strongly about this, actually, because we see that after her conversation with Mimihime, we see that Tokyo is very interested in the outside world. To the extent that one night, she actually gets approached by the director of this facility, who, against the wishes of her aides around her, tells her flat out, yes, there is an outside beyond here. But then ends up telling her that it's a filthy world, a hell, one where abhorrent monsters lurk. So pretty clearly, these people at the facility have an idea of what's happening in the outside world. And I just kind of find the plot of this show so interesting, because after watching this episode, you can tell there's so many little things here and there, so much things that we're not being told that we need to find out. So many little intricate things that there's a lot of things to read between the lines with this show. There's two examples I want to bring up, actually. One is the fact that Kiriko has scars all over her body. All over her body, we see throughout this episode. So clearly she's been through a lot of things in her life. And another is when they get taken in by the woman at this inn, she acts extremely strange when they bring up the man-eater. So there's clearly lots of things going on behind the scenes, and I'm quite interested to figure it out with you guys. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this episode down below, because it really was quite interesting. I'd love to see where this show goes, and I'd love to hear your guys' opinion on that as well. So until next time, guys, we're going to make this like a little short, one-off first impression video, you know. I didn't feel we got enough information to do a full-on review on this episode. I just wanted to sit and talk to you guys about it, you know. And maybe I'm going to keep up with the show in the future. And if it gets really interesting, maybe I would do a full-on review for it. So you guys got to let me know if you'd want that. But until next time, guys, I hope you guys have a great day, week, month, and year. And until then, deuces, have a blessed day, and I'll see you guys next time. Deuces.